Patrice Emery Lumumba was born on July 2, 1925. He was born in the small village of Onalua. Onalua is located deep within the Kasai province. This was all in the Belgian Congo. He was not born into a world of power or privilege. His family belonged to the Tetala ethnic group, and his early life was shaped by the stark realities of colonial rule. Imagine a system designed not just to govern you, but to fundamentally define your worth as less than human. This was the world that greeted Lumumba, a world of segregated cities, forced labor, and an administration that saw the Congolese people as little more than resources to be extracted. It was a system that told you where you could live, what you could learn, and what you could aspire to, which for most was not very much at all. His journey from this humble beginning to becoming a Pan-African icon is a story of incredible determination and intellectual fire. In a society where education for Africans was deliberately limited, mostly to basic literacy and vocational skills, Lumumba showed an exceptional thirst for knowledge. After completing his limited formal education, Lumumba's ambition led him away from his village to the urban centers of the colony. He found a job in the postal service, a modest position but a major achievement for a Congolese man at the time. It placed him inside the machinery of the colonial state, giving him a first-hand look at how it operated. Working as a postal clerk and later as a beer salesman, he traveled, he observed, and most importantly, he listened. He was stationed in Stanleyville, now Kisangani, a bustling city that became his political training ground. Here he was more than a government employee. He was a sponge, absorbing the ideas and frustrations of the urban Congolese, the Evolués. Then, in 1956, everything changed. Lumumba was arrested and imprisoned on trumped-up embezzlement charges. The year in prison was transformative. It shattered any remaining faith in the colonial justice system. He realized that no matter how much he assimilated, no matter how eloquent his French or how sharp his suit, he would still be treated as inferior, a subject to be controlled. Prison walls became a mirror of the colonial state. The lesson pushed him from reform to radicalism. Upon release, he was a changed man. The polite petitioner was gone, replaced by a fiery, uncompromising nationalist. He moved to Leopoldville, now Kinshasa, the political heart of the Congo, and went into full-time politics. In the politically charged atmosphere of the late 1950s, dozens of political parties began to spring up across the Congo, many of them based on regional or ethnic affiliations. In October 1958, he co-founded the Mouvement National Congolais, the Congolese national movement. What made the MNC different was its founding principle. It was a resolutely nationalist party. While other groups focused on the Bakongo, the Luba, the Lunda, Lumumba envisioned a party for all Congolese. A vehicle to unite a diverse, sprawling country under one national identity. A radical idea in a colony governed by Belgian divide and rule. Lumumba's charisma and oratory made him the MNC's undeniable leader. He connected with ordinary people. He didn't use the cautious tone of the Evolués. He spoke with passion, anger, and a vision of intoxicating freedom. He traveled tirelessly, holding rallies in towns and villages. Loudspeakers carried his promise to end colonial humiliation and start an era of dignity and sovereignty. Millions heard a leader who spoke of a single, unified nation. December 1958. Lumumba attended the All-African People's Conference in Accra. He met Pan-African leaders, including Kwame Nkrumah. The trip broadened his view. Congo's struggle was continent-wide. He returned more radicalized, demanding immediate, unconditional independence. He became a Pan-African revolutionary. His speeches grew urgent. Independence now. Belgian authorities, alarmed, responded with repression. The elections of May 1960 confirmed what had become obvious. Patrice Lumumba was the most popular politician in the Congo. His party, the MNC, won the most seats in the new parliament, not an outright majority, but a significant plurality. which made him the only figure who could form a viable coalition government. After some political maneuvering, he was appointed as the first ever Prime Minister of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. His rival, the more conservative and regionally focused Joseph Kasavubu, became the ceremonial president. This arrangement created a built-in tension at the very heart of the new government, a partnership between a radical centralist and a federalist who were fundamentally at odds over the future shape of the nation. Independence Day arrived on June 30th, 1960. The official ceremony in Leopoldville was meant to be a moment of peaceful transition. King Baudouin of Belgium gave a speech that was breathtaking in its paternalism, praising the genius of his ancestor, King Leopold II, the man responsible for a colonial regime that had led to the deaths of millions of Congolese. President Kasavubu followed with a polite and unremarkable speech. Then, in an unscheduled move, Prime Minister Lumumba took the podium. What followed was one of the most electrifying and controversial speeches of the 20th century. We have known forced labor in exchange for pay that did not allow us to satisfy our hunger. We have known sarcasm, insults, blows that we had to endure morning, noon, and night because we were Negroes. He spoke of stolen lands, segregated cities, and a justice system that was an instrument of oppression. For the Congolese listening on the radio, it was profound catharsis. For Western dignitaries, an unforgivable act of defiance. The dream of a unified and independent Congo shattered almost immediately. Just 5 days after independence, on July 5, 1960, the army mutinied against its white Belgian officers, demanding pay raises and the immediate Africanization of the officer corps. Belgium sent its troops back into the Congo without the permission of Lumumba's government, claiming to protect its citizens. This was a flagrant violation of Congolese sovereignty, recolonization in Lumumba's eyes. On July 11th, the wealthy mining province of Katanga, led by Moise Tshombe, declared its own independence. Katanga was the source of over half of the government's revenue, home to the vast copper and cobalt mines controlled by powerful Belgian corporations. The secession was encouraged and militarily supported by Belgium and its corporate allies. Shortly after, South Kasai also seceded. Lumumba's nation was disintegrating before his eyes, and his government was left bankrupt and powerless. He first appealed to the United States, but they offered no meaningful support. The UN came with a limited mandate, not authorized to end secessions. By September 1960, the situation in Leopoldville had completely deteriorated. On September 5th, President Kasavubu announced he had dismissed Lumumba. In response, Lumumba declared he had dismissed Kasavubu. The government was paralyzed, with two leaders claiming to be in charge. Colonel Joseph Désiré Mobutu announced a neutralizing coup, suspending both leaders. The coup was far from neutral. It was actively supported by the CIA and Western intelligence. Lumumba was placed under house arrest, guarded by UN troops and by Mobutu's soldiers. From his confinement, he continued to write, trying to rally his supporters, pleading his case to the world. In late November 1960, under cover of darkness, Lumumba escaped. He began a perilous journey eastward. It was a desperate gamble. He was recognized and intercepted on December 1st near the Sankuru River. He was captured, beaten, and flown back to Leopoldville. He was publicly humiliated and thrown into a military prison. On January 17, 1961, Lumumba, Maurice Mapolo, Joseph Okido were flown to Katanga and handed over to Moise Tshombe and Belgian advisors. That night, they were brutally tortured, then executed by a firing squad commanded by a Belgian officer. The official announcement of Lumumba's death in February 1961, falsely claiming he was killed by angry villagers while trying to escape, sparked outrage across the world. Protests erupted in dozens of cities. Cairo, Belgrade, New York. Embassies were stormed. Across the non-aligned world in Africa, he was canonized as a hero of the anti-colonial struggle, a symbol of African dignity, and a victim of Western imperialism. His assassination became a defining moment, a brutal lesson in the limits of post-colonial sovereignty and the ruthless geopolitics of the Cold War. In the Congo, Lumumba's death paved the way for over 3 decades of dictatorship under Mobutu, who would later rename the country Zaire. Ironically, he tried to co-opt Lumumba's legacy, declaring him a national hero to shore up his own legitimacy. But the ghost of Lumumba could not be tamed. For generations, he remained a powerful symbol of what might have been a united, truly independent nation. Lumumba's legacy extends far beyond the Congo. He became a Pan-African icon. His story resonated with liberation movements and radical thinkers worldwide. From Malcolm X, who called him the greatest black man who ever walked the African continent, to students in the Caribbean, his life and death became a parable of self-determination. Today, as the Congo grapples with conflict, political instability, and a legacy of exploitation, his words remain as relevant as ever. He haunts the corridors of power, a reminder of neo-colonial intervention, and inspires a new generation fighting for economic justice, true sovereignty, and Pan-African unity.